The mother is the first and most influential figure in shaping the psyche of a child. Carl Jung, have you ever questioned why your relationships seem to be trapped in repetitive cycles? Perhaps you experience self-doubt, have trouble with emotional intimacy, or find yourself repeating destructive patterns with partners or even family members. These recurring issues can often be traced back to one profound source: the mother wound. This deep-rooted wound can be the key factor in shaping how you interact with others, particularly in intimate relationships. The mother wound refers to the lasting psychological scars left by a mother who, whether through neglect, emotional distance, or excessive criticism, fails to nurture her child in a healthy way. It may not always be apparent, but the consequences of this wound can deeply influence your perception of self-worth, love, and trust in relationships. What exactly is the mother wound? The mother wound is the emotional trauma that arises when a mother is unable or unwilling to meet the emotional needs of her child. This could be because she was emotionally unavailable, overly critical, neglectful, or perhaps even overbearing in her affection. Carl Jung points out that early maternal relationships carve out our archetypes, forming the foundation of how we relate to others and the world. When a child does not receive secure attachment, it distorts their perception of trust and self-worth, creating lasting effects well into adulthood. Neuroscience of the mother wound. From a neurological perspective, the early mother-child bond plays a pivotal role in the development of our emotional regulation systems, and any dysfunction in this attachment affects brain structures responsible for empathy, fear of rejection, and social bonding. If the mother was inconsistent, neglectful, or emotionally distant, the child's brain wiring is altered, making it harder to form secure relationships later in life. Fear of rejection. When a child's emotional needs are not met, the brain reacts by amplifying the fear of abandonment as a survival mechanism. Studies on the amygdala and prefrontal cortex indicate that this fear is so deeply ingrained that it can trigger emotional turbulence in adulthood, where individuals become overly sensitive to any signs of rejection. This neurological response often manifests as anxiety or clinginess in relationships, leading to excessive validation-seeking behaviors that ironically drive partners away. Insecurity and lack of trust. Trust is developed through healthy bonding, and when this is disrupted, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is underproduced. This leads to trust issues, where even a loving partner is met with emotional resistance and distance. The brain, particularly the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, struggles to regulate these feelings of suspicion, even if there's no real reason to distrust. As a result, you may experience emotional distance and a fear of vulnerability. Self-worth and identity issues. A mother's criticism or neglect can lead to low self-esteem in the child. Neuroimaging studies suggest that when a person has low self-worth, the self-referential networks in the brain become hyperactive, creating constant self-judgment. This affects the brain's emotional processing, making the individual more prone to self-criticism and people-pleasing behaviors. The need for external validation becomes a coping mechanism to soothe the emotional scars left by the mother's absence. How the mother wound influences adult relationships. Jung's theory of shadow projection suggests that these early maternal wounds don't disappear, they persist in the unconscious and influence your behaviors in relationships. These unresolved feelings manifest as relationship patterns that repeat until you consciously address them. The fear of intimacy and vulnerability. If your mother was emotionally unavailable, the brain learned early on to guard against vulnerability. This affects how comfortable you feel being open in relationships, creating emotional walls that prevent true connection. Your brain activates defensive mechanisms to protect against perceived emotional risks, causing you to close off or avoid deep intimacy. Recreating dysfunctional patterns. Jung believed that unconscious shadow traits push us into relationships that mirror the dysfunction we experienced as children. If your mother was emotionally distant, your brain becomes conditioned to seek out partners who also exhibit emotional detachment. Neural reinforcement strengthens this cycle, making it feel familiar to repeat the same unhealthy patterns. Self-sabotage and fear of rejection, fear of being unlovable, can lead to self-sabotage. In relationships, you may push people away before they can leave you, repeating the same cycle of rejection you experienced with your mother. Self-sabotage is the result of an ingrained belief that love is not possible, and it creates a loop where you sabotage your own happiness, despite the desire for connection. Dark psychology and the mother wound also triggers dark psychology behaviors, where unresolved emotional needs drive individuals to manipulate others or emotionally distance themselves. Jung's concept of the shadow explains this. The wound becomes a repressed part of the self that, when unconscious, manifests in toxic patterns and distorted perceptions of love. This psychological blind spot makes it hard to recognize how these behaviors are rooted in unmet childhood needs. Individuals who are unaware of their shadow archetypes may find themselves repeating unhealthy attachment styles, constantly attracting emotionally unavailable partners, or engaging in manipulative behavior to keep others close, even at the cost of authenticity. Healing the mother wound. Rebuilding healthy relationships. Healing the mother wound requires a conscious effort to acknowledge and address the pain it has caused. As Carl Jung emphasized, shadow work, the process of facing our unconscious wounds, is essential for psychological integration. Through this process, we can break the cycle of self-sabotage and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Steps to heal the wound. Acknowledge the impact. The first step is recognizing that the mother wound exists. Reflect on your relationship with your mother and how it may have shaped your emotional life. By uncovering these hidden patterns, you can begin to understand their influence on your adult relationships. Self-compassion and reparenting. Healing starts with developing self-compassion. Replace the critical inner voice with one of support and understanding. Through reparenting yourself, you can provide the nurturing you missed, helping to rewire neural pathways that foster self-acceptance and emotional resilience. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries with your mother, if possible, is an important step in healing. Establishing limits with her allows you to stop repeating old patterns of people-pleasing and seeking validation. Boundaries help create emotional independence, reducing the need for external approval. Therapy and shadow work. Engaging in therapy with a qualified professional can be instrumental in addressing the mother wound. Jungian therapy, or inner child healing, can help you uncover unconscious beliefs, process painful emotions, and develop healthier relationship patterns. Conclusion: freeing yourself from the mother wound. The mother wound is a silent force that can shape your relationships and emotional health for much of your life. But understanding the neuroscientific and psychological impact of this wound is the first step toward breaking the cycle. By confronting the pain, practicing self-compassion, and seeking professional help, you can begin to heal and create healthier relationships based on mutual trust, self-respect, and emotional intimacy. Call to action. CTA: if you've recognized how the mother wound has influenced your relationships, share your experiences in the comments below. Healing is a journey, and it helps to know you're not alone in this process. Let's support each other in creating healthier emotional patterns and breaking free from cycles of pain. Please like this video and subscribe for more insights on emotional healing, attachment theory, and creating healthier relationships. Click here to continue your journey toward healing and growth.